look at what's called a mean value of a function, and we're going to try and find the mean value of cos x between negative pi over 2 and pi over 2. So effectively what it's asking for is if we consider that box, how far do I have to fill that box up so that the piece below the green line in here, the bottom bit, is equal to the blue curve there, is equal to that piece there. So effectively what's the mean height of that blue lump? Okay, so makes sense. So if I had the same, if that blue stuff was water and I let it slop down so it filled the box, how high would the box be filled? Is what we mean by the mean value, is the question that we're asking. And the way that you do this is a formula for it, which is on your formula sheet, and it talks about 1 over b minus a, the integral from a to b, f of x dx. A and b are just your limits of integration. A is always on the left-hand side, so that's a, and b is on the right-hand side. So a is the lower limit, lower, it's at the bottom, it's the smaller number, b is the upper limit. Okay, so all we've got to do now is pick all these things up, put them into this thing, do a bit of integration, plug some numbers into a calculator probably, and we'll have an answer. So what do we got? We've got 1 over, b is pi over 2, minus a is negative pi over 2, integral a is negative pi over 2, b is pi over 2, function is cos x dx. Okay, so this is just a number. We're not scared of numbers. So what do we got? We've got pi over 2 plus pi over 2 is pi. So that's going to be 1 over pi. Half a pi plus another half pi is pi. That's 1 over pi. And we're going to do this integral. So we integrate cos. We get negative sine. And now we stick the numbers in. So we've got 1 over pi. Sticking the numbers into here, we've got negative sine of pi minus negative sine of negative pi over 2. That's not enough negatives to keep you happy. I'm not sure what is. Okay, so that negative is because you do the top one minus the bottom one, and that negative is coming up into both of those two places. So what have we got? We've got 1 over pi, sine of pi. I think that should be pi over 2, shouldn't it? Someone should have pointed that out to me. It's a pi over 2. I made a silly copying error. Sine of pi over 2 is 1, so it'll be negative 1 minus negative, and what have we got here? Sine of negative pi over 2. Just got to think about this, get a sine curve in your head. So a sine curve goes like that. That's pi over 2. So that's where that 1 was coming from. And this is negative pi over 2, so it'll be negative 1 minus negative 1. So what have we got? We've got 1 over pi, negative 1 minus plus minus 1 is negative 2. So we've got negative 2 over pi, which makes me a little bit nervous because it looks to me like that's positive and not negative. So somewhere I've managed to stuff up and lose a negative sign. What have I done? When you integrate cosine, do you get negative sign or do you get positive sign? When you integrate cosine, you integrate cosine, you get positive sign. So that was a mistake. So that's wrong, and that's wrong, and that's wrong, and that's wrong. And a negative and a negative make a, that's gone, and a negative make a positive. So we've got plus pi over 2. Good math skills. Think about your answer. So as soon as I saw that negative there, I thought that can't possibly be right because it's positive, it's above the axis. It has to be a positive answer. And then I go through and go, duh, integrate cosine, positive sign, not negative sign. So I made a mistake in the integration, which flowed through, but as soon as we fix it, it comes out to be the correct answer. Okay, so that's all you've got to do for a mean value, minus the mistake I made. You don't have to make a mistake. You are able to get it right the first time. It's not compulsory to make a mistake halfway through. Okay, so that formula is on your formula sheet. So grab your formula, A and B are your limits of integration, pop them into the formula, do the integration correctly, none of these silly mistakes, substitute in the top number, minus, substitute in the bottom number, work your way through, answer. Okay, so the mean value here is, in this case, 2 over pi, which is about, pi is about just over 3, so it's just slightly under 2/3. Okay, so this has got to fill up to about 2/3 of the rectangle to have the same area as the blue bit. Okay, mean value for integration.